Welcome to Sprinkle with Hope podcast. This is your host, Jason, and today we got an awesome subject. We are going to be talking about the law of attraction and just kind of how we can attract those things that we want and desire in our life.
You have the power to decide whatever you want. And hopefully after listening to this, that you feel like you have a lot more power within you to do whatever you want in life.
Welcome to the Sprinkled with Hope podcast.
This is Jason. And this is Shane.
And it's podcast time.
Hey everyone, so today we're talking about the law of attraction. And the law of attraction simply is this, that we are going to attract what we think about. And so today, me and Shane, we're going to kind of dive into the law of attraction and hopefully you follow along with us and get something out of this discussion that we're going to have about the law of attraction. So to understand the law of attraction, we have to understand the unconscious mind. And we've mentioned this before, but the unconscious mind is all those thoughts and things that are back there that are situations and experiences that we've had in the past. And so we have to understand that unconscious mind and what it's telling us and really understand what and how we can control that. So that's going to be our discussion today.
Now, I'm going to start with a quote. Jason and I quote a lot of people, and we feel like those, they bring positive energy to our lives, and we just want to share that. So Wayne Dyer says, "I'm realistic. I expect miracles." And I love that. I thought pretty simple, but it's true. If we are expecting miracles, then they might happen, right? If we don't expect miracles, then they're likely not going to happen. We're going to focus on the law of attraction, and I just want to point out this really quick. We'll talk a lot about positive things in every one of our podcasts. Bringing positive energy to our lives is a choice. Bringing negative energy to our lives is a choice. And so I'm not going to focus on the negative, but I just want us to be aware that regardless of what we choose, whether it be positive or negative, that is our choice. We have the ability and the choice and the power to decide if we want the positive in our life or the negative. It really is that simple. I want to point that out. I don't want to focus on the negative. We won't ever do that. We believe in the opposite, which is bringing the positive energy into our lives. But it's up to us to choose which energy we really want to focus on and bring to our lives. Jason and I want to bring positive energy to our lives. We want to bring that energy to you, and hopefully you decide to make the choice to accept that positive energy, and then you start developing that within you, and you can start to send it out to other people.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And I love that quote. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I really like that. So the unconscious mind, right? And Shane's talking about positivity, but the unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between an emotion brought on by experience or an emotion brought on by our very thoughts. So the unconscious really does not know the difference. So how do we deal with that? We know the unconscious mind always looks to the past experiences to try and bring it forward and it does that very, very quickly. And so that unconscious brings it to our conscious, and we go, oh, I should be afraid of that. I shouldn't do this thing or whatever it is. As you tell yourself, and I think, what Shane's kind of getting at is if we were to focus on, and again, we're not going to talk a lot about negative, but if we were focusing on negative things, that's what we're going to attract. And sometimes you feel like you're stuck or whatever it is. You feel like you're not moving anywhere. Your relationships aren't going the way that you want them to. Your job's not going the way you want it to or whatever. It's those negative thoughts that you're bringing forward from the subconscious or unconscious mind into our conscious. So that's just something to think about. We really want it to control our thoughts. And so we're going to talk a little bit today, and we've already mentioned this before in previous podcasts, but we're going to talk about kind of how to control that unconscious thoughts.
Yeah, I believe that we can control our life, and it starts by controlling our thoughts. We can control our life. We shouldn't let our life control us. We shouldn't let things get out of hand and so forth. So you think about getting out of bed. Some people get out of bed groggy and I just didn't want to wake up, and other people get out of bed, jump out of bed, are excited that they're up, and you see the difference, right? You see that typically the second person, the one that jumps out of bed and is excited, that's telling his mind or her mind that I'm happy, I'm excited for the day, that the day is going to go very well. And if you get out of bed and you're kind of groggy and like, oh, it's Monday. I don't like Mondays. You see the difference in even just the thought, and that's getting out of bed. That's fairly simple, right? Everybody
Yeah.
has to get out of bed, and so that's what I'm saying is control that. Just start by that. Start controlling your thought when you get out of bed. The great Albert Einstein says, "Imagination is everything. It is the preview of life's coming attractions." I thought that was so well spoken that
That's awesome.
it's like life is there for us, but we have to control the energy that we're giving out and we're thinking about and we're seeing, and then life is just going to be totally opened up for us, right? Another thing I want to point out is in a previous podcast, Jason and I talked about daily affirmations, that we tell ourselves something good about ourselves every single day, along with getting out of bed with a great attitude and a cheerful day. That we should continue to say our daily affirmations, that we're telling our mind we have the power to control our life. And so we would just encourage you again to say those daily affirmations, to start to control your life, and you will see great things happening.
Yeah, I totally believe in affirmations, and thank you for bringing that up because I've been doing the affirmations for quite some time now, and it has really made a difference in my life. And it started out as just saying simply that I'm worth it, and I am worth everything, and that I'm starting to actually believe that, and so affirmations are true, and they do work. So I'm going to echo what Shane said, and yes, continue those affirmations. Um, when you think about what you want or where you want to be, that is your focus, right? So you're focused on the things that you want and where you want to be. And Henry Amar, who I admire and look up to, is a great mentor of mine. He said, "Where focus goes, energy flows." And it is so true. It just rings in my ears every time I hear it, because at wherever your focus is, that's where the energy that you're going to have. And energy gives off vibrations or a frequency. And we know that those are going to attract like and like, right? And so we want to have that focus wherever we want it to go. I got a quote here by Bob Proctor, and he talks a lot about the law of attraction. I mean, I think most of us remember when The Secret came out.
Yeah.
It was a huge thing, right? But Bob Proctor, he's a huge advocate for this law of attraction. He says, "Thoughts become things. If you see it in your mind, you will hold it in your hand." And I just thought that was such an interesting way of putting it, right? So as we are thinking about it, if you can see it in your mind's eye, then we can hold it in our hand. If that's, a better relationship, or we want more money, or we want whatever it is that we're seeking after, that we're trying to attract in our lives, then we should first control those thoughts.
Yeah. I'm glad you talked about the focus, because I want to touch on that a little bit more. We should be aware of what we're focused on, and we shouldn't miss an opportunity for something bigger. For example, let's say that we every month we put a little bit of money into a savings account, but we think to ourselves, well, I'm not very rich. You see, you're missing that point of you're putting money into an account every single month, and you are earning money and interest on that. Now it depends on how you look at that. You could say, well, yeah, I have enough money for what I want and I'm rich, right? In that way, instead of saying, well, when I have $1 million, then I'll be rich. You're missing the opportunity when you're looking at this something bigger. So don't focus solely on the bigger prize, but reward yourself in your thoughts in the day-to-day things that you're doing. You're saving money, and that's a good thing. So don't miss those opportunities. Focus on what you want. If you want to be happy, surround yourself with people who are happy. If you want to be more positive, spend time listening to our podcast. We're positive guys, and so focus what you want to be, then start looking at those in other people. So all of us at one point or another have focused on something that we want, whether it be a vacation, a car, something. And have you ever thought about this? So let's say you want to go on a cruise and you've made up your mind, and suddenly you see all these ads and everything about cruising. You're like, what just happened? It's not that suddenly everybody's going on a cruise and this and that. It's just that your mind is now focused on that cruise and your eyes see what you're focused on, right? So again, let's say you buy a new car and you're like, wow, this is a great car. And you're driving down the freeway and you're like, wow, there's like the same car everybody has. It's not that everybody just went out and got the same car. It's that you're focused in your mind about the car because now there's value to it for you, and that's what you see with your eyes. So that's what we're talking about, is whatever you want, focus your mind, and your mind will focus your eyes on what that is.
Oh, I love that, Shane. That's it almost brings that visualization to the mind's eye, right?
Yeah.
And I just love that. I love how you put that. And it's so true, though. I mean, your analogy of, you go out and buy a new car and all of a sudden you start seeing everybody with the same car. It's not that everybody just went that day and started buying that car.
Right.
Yeah, it's totally about that focus. And so where is the focus? And we know that like a magnifying glass, as we focus in or out, right? We can go either way. That's what we're going to be thinking about. And so where is that focus? So I want to talk about creation mode. And the law of attraction works in creation mode. So when we are creative beings with a high level of intellect. When we move into creation mode, we can create anything we desire. And I really think and truly believe this. We are creative creatures. When we really think about something we want to create, our mind just starts to create it, right? That's why we have artists and we have, people that do drawings or create podcasts or create, anything they want to create. I mean, Henry Ford created the Model T and the Model A. He created those vehicles because of what he envisioned, what he saw, and he thought that he could hold it and literally hold it in his hand.
Yeah.
And so I really think that once we get into creation mode and we start to allow ourselves to be creative, we will then start attracting those things in creation mode.
That's awesome. Now I have another quote from Rhonda Byrne. She says, Every single second is an opportunity to change your life, because in any moment you can change the way you feel. I love that. I thought that went really, really well with what we're talking about, that it really is up to us. It's that whatever we think we're going to attract, it just is true. I believe that, really believe that. Think about it as we're a magnet. So we're a big magnet and we're walking around. We're going to attract another magnet, and it's going to, it's going to attract right to us. But don't point your magnet in the wrong direction. Don't tell yourself things like, when I get what I want, then I'll be happy. When I get more money, I'll be rich. That is pointing your magnet or your energy, your focus, in the wrong direction. Tell yourself, I am happy, and that's it. Not when I get what I want, I'll be happy, but I am happy now. And the more happy you tell your mind now, the more happier you'll be. It really is that easy. Now I want to quote quite a bit from Ed Lester. He's an abundance coach with 20 years experience. I want to give him credit for all this. I wish I could have written it so well, but he says a lot of great things, and I want to quote him. So the next little section is mostly going to be what he's saying. He's talking about the magical 1% rule. He says, imagine if there was one small thing you could do each day which would instantly change your manifestation results. Something that would transform your life and relationships, your career, your emotional strength and your self-belief, your confidence, even your financial abundance. He asks groups, which do you want? $1 million in your hand right now, or a single penny? If you take the penny, I'll double it tomorrow, and I'll continue to double it each day for 31 days. So just imagine that for a second. Jason, do you want $1 million in your hand right now, or a single penny? You guys have 3 seconds to decide, and then that closes, right? So
Yeah.
what do you think is going to happen? He says, of course, the vast majority of the people are going to take the $1 million.
Yeah, of course.
Because their intuition suggests it's the best answer. But the truth is, if you take the penny, then in 31 days, you'll have a suitcase containing $10.7 million. And I thought, that seems weird. So he shows this little chart. Let me just go through it really quick. On day 1, you have a penny. Day 2, you have 2. Day 3, you have 4, right? So on and so forth. Day 10, you have $5.12, not very much. Day 15, you have $163.84. Day 20, you have $5,242.88. So you can see it's accumulating a little bit. Day 25, you have $167,772. Day 30, $5.36 million, and then day 31 you have 10.7. So again, you see that if you had $1 million in your hand or a penny, of course people are going to say, well, give me the $1 million. But if you knew more about those little things that I talked about earlier, that the day-to-day stuff that you reward your mind with, then you could have so much more, right? I mean, that's a simple example, but it really resonated with me, and I thought, wow, that's so awesome. He goes on to say, this is a stunning example of what happens when you banish scarcity from your mindset. Instead, you embrace abundant thinking and the principles of unlimited potential. It is absolutely critical for you to grasp the fact that small changes and baby steps really do pay huge dividends. If you don't commit to making a 1% positive shift every day, what happens is that you'll almost certainly move in the opposite direction. So that all came from him. And I just thought he said it so well that I just wanted to give him credit where it should be and not me. I wish I came up with that, but it's so, you and I have talked about this,
Right.
that if you make that small incremental change every single day in a year, look at the change that you can make in your life. And it's that same thing. If you want to be more positive, or you want to attract whatever it is, then you have to make that effort. And the effort could be a simple thought every day. It could be the affirmations that you tell yourself. It has to be an action. You have to do something. You can't just think, oh, I'm going to be more wealthy, and then do nothing. And you're like, in 30 days, well, I'm not more wealthy. What happened?
Right.
Shane and Jason were talking about this affirmation, or the law of attraction. And they said, if I did it, it would work. You have to do something. You just have to do something. You have to take action.
Yeah, I love that so much, and as you were talking, Shane, it kind of brought something to my mind, and that is, if you said, "Oh, I'll be happy when I get $1 million," well, what happens when you get to that $1 million? You're probably not going to be happy. You're going to want 2 million, right?
Right.
And so
Yep.
you're almost always kind of chasing that, right? Because you're never going to be fully happy. And so I
Yeah.
think I totally agree with you. I think that you have to be happy with these small little changes in your life. And all the books and things and podcasts that I've been listening to recently all reiterate this same concept of just tiny, tiny changes over time are exponential in growth. And then you may not see them like right away, or you think, oh, 1%, geesh, what is that? Well, you think about it, 1% every day, after a year, you're going to be 365% better than you were
Yeah.
today. So it's, starting to create these habits, these habitual things that you do every day, saying affirmations to yourself, which literally takes seconds, and how much are we, investing back into ourselves to have that law of attraction work to us and help us in our advantage. I want to talk a little bit about the conscious mind too, because I think that's important to understand as well. And we know what the conscious mind is. It's our logic. It's the things that tell us, hey, this is supposed to make sense, and this is what it's supposed to look like. And sometimes things that don't make sense, probably the right thing, because that's really where our conscious is always trying to make it be logical, and sometimes things just aren't logical, but it's probably the right direction. I'm not saying that to be true all the time, right? Like every time it doesn't make sense, you should just do it, right?
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, you got to know the difference between the two. You got to know, okay, when is my subconscious taking over, and when is my conscious taking over, and which direction do I need to go? And we've talked about that, trusting your gut, going with instinct, and then now we have this law of attraction that we're talking about. So I have a quote here by Abraham Hicks, and he says, "A belief is only a thought you can continue to think, and when your beliefs match your desires, then your desires must become your reality." And so if you think about that, when your beliefs match your desires, then your desires become your reality. So that has to be true, right? If you're thinking it, those things have to be your reality. And I think as you start to think about the things you want and desire, you're going to see that change within yourself. You're gonna actually physically see a change.
Yeah.
And that's really what it boils down to, right? It's just changing our very thoughts and our actions, doing those little things every single day. They will start to become our reality.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. I'm glad you brought up the conscious and subconscious mind. That kind of ties into what I was just thinking about while you were talking about that. So imagine that you're walking around a busy shopping mall It's really packed. There's a lot of people talking and conversations happening, and they're happening all around us, but we don't really pay attention to any of those, right? We're not focusing our
Right.
energy on any of those. There's all this noise, but we don't really hear exactly what's going on. It just sounds like all this noise. But somebody says, "Hey, Shane," and what do? We instantly,
Yeah.
immediately turn our focus and attention to that conversation, and we tune out everything else. The mall is still packed full. All the conversations are still happening, but we hear Shane and we focus on that. We're zoning in on that single conversation, and all the noise around us is gone. That's what we're talking about. The energy you pay attention to at that point is more important than the energy and the conversations that are happening around you. So you're focusing your mind, you're focusing your eyes on that specific conversation at that moment. I truly believe if you train your mind to train your eyes to see opportunities, you will improve your life. Guaranteed. If you want to be more positive, be more positive. If you
Yeah.
want and be around positive people. We attract what we think about, right? If we're positive, we are gonna attract positive people. If we're really into music, guess what's gonna happen? We're gonna attract those who are music oriented. If we like sports, we're gonna attract people who are really into sports. We are going to attract what we think about most. So train your mind to train your eyes to see opportunities in life. I have two other quotes that I want to share with you. One is by Burton Hills, and he says, "Happiness is not a destination, it is a method of life." I
Mm.
totally, strongly believe that. Happiness is not a destination, it's a way that we live our life. And the other one that I want to share is by Napoleon Hill, and he says, "The vast majority of people are born, grow up, struggle, and go through life in misery and failure, not realizing that it would be just as easy to switch over and get exactly what they want out of life, not recognizing that the mind attracts the things it dwells upon."
Mm.
That's
I love
such a
that.
great quote. That is exactly what we've been talking about.
Yeah, that is an awesome quote, Shane. That is exactly what we've been talking about. And I really believe that, right? And I think it kind of goes back to this, right? And that is, think about the person that you want to be with, right? And all those good qualities that are in that other person, whether it be a friend or in a relationship or whatever it is, and then go out and be those things, right? And that's kind of what we're talking about. If you don't like the situation you're in, go and be those other things and change that
Yep.
situation. Dr. Joe Dispenza, I've listened to him quite a bit, um, and he does talk about the law of attraction a lot. But he has this little saying, and I want to mention it. But he says, "Knowledge is for the mind, and experience is for the body." And I kind of like that because it kind of goes along with what we're talking about. And that's how we get knowledge is through those experiences. So we have an experience in the body, and then it transfers into the mind. The last thing that I want to talk about, and me and Shane just did a podcast on this, but it's gratitude. Gratitude is an integral part of the law of attraction. When we show gratitude, it helps us with our emotion, and then that emotion attaches to an experience. So I really, truly, and honestly believe as we have more gratitude in our lives, if you want to start a gratitude journal, or just think right now the things that you're grateful for. I'm grateful for my family, for you know uh, both my extended family and those that are close with me. My wife and my kids. I'm so grateful for my family. I'm grateful to have health right now. I'm so grateful to be breathing, right? Because it could be the opposite. And so as you find things to be grateful for the sunshine, the flowers, the beauty that surrounds us, as we find those things that we're grateful for, we're going to change that flow of energy, and we'll then institute and bring with us that law of attraction. We're going to attract those things we're grateful for as well.
Yeah, I think you and we both agree that we do truly believe in this, the law of attraction. You can call it whatever you want. We don't believe in luck. We don't believe in any of that, but we believe that if you focus your mind and your eyes and your heart, your desires on what you really want, that it will happen for you. Never underestimate the power of you. Each person who hears this, don't underestimate the power that you have. You control whatever you want. You have the power to do whatever you want. You just have to decide today that that's what you want, and then take action to get to where you want to be. I truly believe in this, in the law of attraction. I think we've shared some great things with you, but it requires action from each one of us. Please don't forget and underestimate the power that you have inside you right now.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And Shane, I just have one last thought, and I know this is going to come from both me and Shane, so I'm going to say it for the both of us. But
Please do.
If you haven't been told today, you are loved, you are needed, and you are worth it.
This is Sprinkled with Hope. If you liked this episode, please share it with a friend.
If you like our podcast, please give us a review or rating.